Yeah, Prophet Marshall Occurrence back at it, man. You know what I'm saying? Back at it. This video is going to be about my generation, which is the Generation X and the Millennials. I'm part of two generations, Generation X and the Millennials. Okay, my birth year is 1981, which uniquely is puts me at the top of the millennials, the first oldest date of the millennials. And I'm also a part of Generation X. I think most people know 1981 is Generation X, but they don't know that, particularly if you're not born in that year, that 1981 was the first year starting the millennials. So I'm with the millennials as well as the Generation X. Okay, so you can go look at the millennials and how they move and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? And so you can get an idea what type of guy I am. Okay, because this video basically is going to be about this. You know, basically, this is the first time that America has faced God's, I'm going to put it like this, God's people in my generation. Yeah. This is the first time that America dealt with the more aggressive, less fearful generation. This is something that people don't think about. We always see the potential of how the thugs and the gangsters and the street dudes move, and how that could be displayed and expressed towards white America, but it really never was. This is why I always have this perspective that Thug Nation never used their goods to fight for justice in America. You know, we have all these thugs and we have all these gangsters, but the truth is they wasn't utilized properly because they didn't have a leader. Tupac Shakur was the closest thing to a Thug Nation leader. He was about to be the Thug Nation leader. No, listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying, buddy. Tupac Shakur was about to be Thug Nation leader because everybody respected him to a certain degree, even if you ain't feel like he was a thug. You know, you got mixed views where some people feel like Tupac wasn't a thug or a gangster. But that's basically influenced, that perspective is influenced by the fact that he was an intelligent person. He didn't carry himself like a delinquent. He articulated himself properly. He talked, he pondered thoughts, he pondered situations. And most thugs and gangsters don't really come from that you know, they're not that advanced. They might see the injustices and everything, but Tupac was a little more advanced as far as his perspective of injustice, America, everything like that. And that'll lead you to think a person is smart cat, a smart cat that shouldn't be out here in these streets. But at the end of the day, I mean, you could be a smart cat that's in these streets. Usually that's going to be the drug lords and that's going to be the big dogs. They're going to be the ones that know how to move and you know what I'm saying, stay out of trouble, duck the law and everything like that, politic, put on a suit and politic. You know what I'm saying? And most gangsters become politicians because that's the highest level of being a gangster, is you become a politician. Literally, like, because in many countries and nations, you gotta, as a gangster, you gotta get into the politics in order to make sure you're good and make sure your politics is good and make sure your community of thugs and your organization is good. You gotta get into the politics. Okay? And in order to do that effectively, you have to become a politician. So you'll find a lot of thugs and people that know the history of real gangsters, you know, they became politicians. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard. It's hard not to be, because it's where most of the work is done, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and you can see Tupac was going that way. All he needed to be is a little more refined. You know what I'm saying? Nice butterfly, right? Look at the butterfly. Yeah, so man, you know, Pac had the goods to be a politician. You know what I'm saying? And therefore that supports my argument and belief that he could have been one of the first leaders of Thug Nation. You know what I'm saying? When I say Thug Nation, that's just people that's willing to materialize themselves. That's what I'm looking for. They're willing to materialize themselves and become mobile and become militant. It's not just a thug. You know what I'm saying? At this point, Thug Nation represents a person that's willing to materialize themselves and become militant in their mindset with world views that support their community, with a mindset that support their stance in life and where they come from and everything like that, right? So that's really what the progressive Thug Nation was. You know what I'm saying? If Tupac would have lived, you know, he would have had a progressive Thug Nation, which was we basically become like the mob. Because my point of view is this: is us as black people, we needed a mob. And the reason why we didn't get a mob, because we prided ourselves on being ratchet when it came to being gangsters. We still pride ourselves on being ratchet collectively, instead of being organized and being professional. That's why one of my pet peeves is being professional. Even if you got to be a killer, you got to be professional. If you're going to be a thug, you got to be professional. Or you're going to be locked up. If you're a gangster, you got to be professional. But in our community, we're so used to being informal and improvising in the ghetto experience that we take that to gangsterisms, where it gotta be gutter, it gotta be rugged. You know what I'm saying? It can't be. You feel me? So it's just like, you know, we got to understand being professional. This is why if we would have got a mob, this is one of my original messages too. If we would have got a mob, we would have been way more protected as black people. We needed a mob more than anybody else, because they was targeting us more than the Native Americans. They was targeting us more than anybody else. We needed a mob more than any other ethnicity in the whole country. And we did not achieve it because we pride ourselves on being ratchet before the word even came out. We looked at the byproduct of being a gangster, which was the shooting back and forth with rivals. You know, that's what Italian gangsters and that's what these white gangsters had to do. They had to shoot back and forth with rivals, right? We took that part as being a gangster. We made our own form of gangster, or our own prototype of gangster, where it's all about going back and forth. But that's the byproduct of being a gangster. A gangster is someone that just strong arms their way through life in an unorthodox way, where they might have money, 3 different streams of income in an unorthodox way. Perfect example is Al Capone selling alcohol, right? That's what made him a gangster, because he was selling the alcohol when it was illegal. He was doing all the stuff with the alcohol. Everybody know the history. You know what I'm saying? I at least know that much about Al Capone, right? That he was selling the alcohol and everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's a perfect example of like a gangster's just gonna be unorthodox. They're gonna find other ways to make money than the typical orthodox way of making money. That's all it is. That's all a gangster really is. And the gangster could be, and then so a gangster could be working like a normal job, but he gonna strong arm till he get what he want. Well, that's where it becomes illegal. Things become illegal because he gonna strong arm in order to get all he want. Okay, he gonna strong arm to get the lion's share. To get the lion's share, he's gonna strong arm. Okay, Then that creates rivals, people that's jealous of how you did it, and that's where you get the gang banging, and so to speak, or the shooting back and forth with rivals. It's really, that's the response of a gangster after his position is challenged. That's not what defines a gangster. What defines a gangster is being unorthodox with how you get your money. Where you might have not never caught a body, but you was a certified gangster because you came out here and strong-armed your situation. And more so, we needed to do it more than anybody else, being that we was targeted. We needed to be people that strong-armed our situation when they ain't even really want to hire us. At one point, they ain't even want to hire us. So it's like we definitely needed to strong-arm our situation and get it how we live, as people say. But we prided ourselves on being ratchet. That's what the problem was. We looked at the byproducts of being a gangster. We looked at the Italian mob. We look at all these people, and we prided ourselves on the byproducts of being a gangster, which is shooting back and forth with rifles. See, I can talk about this intelligently, man. And you got to remember, man, at this point in 2026, you know, for the gatekeepers of the streets, you got to remember, now we've seen so many images and information about this that they basically are making courses about being gangsters. They're making courses about street people. They're making courses about selling drugs, the hood, and trapping. You know what I'm saying? Dope houses. It's like darn near courses about it at college. Because it's history. Anytime history is formed, there's going to be courses in college. So, you know, you can't knock somebody. I'm just saying, even though I'm real, you still can't knock somebody that's talking about the information, because now in 2026, you know, we not in 1996. Now you got people that may have never lived in the streets. And they're not talking street rules and regulations. What you get on people about is when they don't know rules and regulations. When they come out here and they don't know what they're doing, like these gang stalkers and these secret society people. That's who you get on right there. Not the person that talks intelligently about the streets because they received enough information from history to know about the streets. So you got two types of people who know about the streets in 2026. People who lived it and people who educated themselves on it. You can have a historian, for crying out loud, and this person knows about the streets. He knows the major gangsters in every major city. He knows the slang for all the changes in the slang for drugs and all that kind of stuff. And you got to respect it, and you really should, as black people, love it that it has come to the point where it's been taken seriously as a part of history. So people can learn from it. So now you got intelligent people, and you should always embrace that you got intelligent people talking about it, even though now they ain't come from that, because that took the street life seriously. That made it be taken seriously. When you got intelligent historians now taking the time to talk about it. So you got to look at it like on that level. What you get on people's head about is when they come out here playing with people. And this goes right into my message. Playing with people out here playing and don't know rules and regulations. Don't know how the street carry themselves. Going out here causing problems. You know what I'm saying? That's who you get. That's who head you get on. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately that's the person that's causing problems. They don't understand rules and regulations. They don't understand life as we know it. And so that's who heads you get on, bro. You don't never challenge somebody and say, we don't know if you lived in the streets. That's the 90s. That's the 80s. I would expect thugs and gangsters from the 80s to do that. Granted, right? Because it was fairly new to America. So a wannabe suffered more. Because he had no part of it. He was no part of it. It was no way he was a part of it. Now you got people that got, in every family, you got thugs in every family. As far as black people, I got thugs in my family, you got thugs in your family. So that's what some black people sleep on. We all got thugs in our family. And we're influenced by them people. You got to remember that. Because so when you see a black dude, you can't even take him totally soft because of his family. There's somebody, even if he fake, there's somebody willing to kill you for him. That's my little cousin. They'll come out here and kill you for that person. So you gotta know. See, that goes with understanding rules and regulations in the time we live in. You see how I just fluently talked about that? Where some people will make a mistake and think, oh, okay, this dude a sucker, but his family ain't a sucker. But his family's not a sucker, and they're willing to kill to protect him. So then you gotta weigh the cost with anybody. I'm talking about even with these certified suckers. You got even with these secret society people. They got people in their family. They got thugs in their family if they black. But here's where it get tricky though. You know what I'm saying? The best thugs and gangsters gonna sit a lame in their family down for causing liabilities to the for their own life and for their family. If you come out here and you don't know what you're doing, and you my little cousin, I'm gonna tell you, bro. I'm gonna tell you like this. Listen, bro. Don't come out here causing no problems in the community, and then expect us to have your back. You know what I'm saying? You could be my cousin, but at the end of the day, this is why I'm gonna tell you this, because we might not always be there to help you. That's the main reason I'm gonna tell you this. Because we might not always be there to help you. You can't stand 10 toes down like we can on our own, like this man can, like me. I can stand 10 toes down on my own. I can get my respect out the mud. I'm literally getting my respect out the mud. Like I told y'all, this is a position. This is a position, bro. And so these secret society people can't stand 10 toes down. What they gonna do is go get the community. You follow me? They gonna go get the community, bro. They gonna go get other people. That's what suckers do. That's what females do. A female usually ain't gonna fight another man. All she gonna do is call somebody on the jack and bring them over there to fight you or shoot you or something like that. That's why you can't even play with females, because all they gonna do is get on the phone and call 5 dudes. See, this is understanding rules and regulations. All they gonna do is get on the phone and call somebody. That's all they gonna do. That's why you can't even go these days. You can't even go back and forth in 2026 with no female, because all she gonna do is get on the phone and call her cousin or call her brother, and they gonna come through like football players. They gonna come through like the Green Bay Packers. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't trying to hear nothing. You might not even be able to explain your position. But if you are, and they real homies, they gonna respect you if you tell them that she said something to you first. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna say, listen, bro. I know that's your family. You gonna defend her, rain, sun, or shine. But she can't come out here. What about, okay, you handle this situation, but the next situation you might not be able to handle, because she out here talking and out of turn to people she don't know. You ain't gonna always be able to save this girl, and you gonna have to respect me. I mean, if you're a real homie, you can say, man, what you talking about, but you know what I'm talking about. She gonna wind up, a person like that is gonna always have to have somebody else save them. You're going to always have to save that type of person. They come out here starting problems. Come out here talking out of turn, and then you get on the phone and call people. You can't handle your own battles. You're going to always have to save a person like that. Think about it. If you got somebody in your family like that, how many times you done came to their rescue? And see, you as a soldier, a street soldier, you should chastise them and say, hey, man, look, we notice the problems that you have is problems that you start. You start a lot. No, you start a lot of junk with people. Y'all supposed to be on my side. We supposed to be family. Nah, we are family, but we can't always help you. Look at it from a mature place, a pure mature place. How we gonna help you every single time you start problems with these people out here in the streets? We telling you this because we care about you. Whether I can love you to the moon, but the truth is the truth about that situation, where we might not be able to save you all the time, bro. Okay, so then we preparing you for the streets, because you ain't really prepared. All you do is come out here and call us every time you got a problem. That's all you doing there. And then you moving out here in the streets like you in the jungle. You ain't really out here in the streets. You ain't really from the streets because you wouldn't be making these mistakes. Well, you got to call us all the time. And then we find out you done play with these people. And then we still got to have your back. But it look bad on us. Because now the streets going to be, they going to start talking like, yeah, man, they defending this girl that come out here starting problems. So now we gonna start, you see what I'm saying? All it takes is a handful of times for us to save you from situations that you started, and then our credibility is tarnished because of that. Because the streets gonna start saying, yeah, man, it's this little female be coming around here starting problems, right? But then she be calling the homies. Then she be calling the homies after she done started, after she act like she was a big dog and she wanted all the smoke, right? But then she called the homies after that. Now we don't respect that. Because if you starting problems, you should be able to handle your own problems. Now I can see if somebody challenged you for no reason, and then you called your homies. Okay, I understand that. But if you trying to go back and forth with a dude, then you should be able to handle your own. Other than that, you got to play the position of a female. And see, women don't like that. Women don't like playing the position of a female, you know, where listen, I can't really go back and forth with these dudes because I can't fight these dudes. I can't really fight these dudes, so I can't even act like I won't smoke. Because the first thing it's gonna lead to in most situations is a fight, right? I can't even act like I won't smoke with these dudes. And see, some females now smoking weed, listen to the music, they don't want to play a position of a female no more. And that's why all this stuff happens. See, I can talk about this fluently, bro. I go through conflicts. I go through people putting pressure on me. I go through checking people. In New York, I was checking people, bro. Oh yeah, bro. You got me sized up wrong, bro. Like I'm an okie doke. I check people, but see, I can stand on my own. I don't call nobody after I check people. When did I check somebody and call somebody? Like that, in that order, like that. You ain't never see me call somebody like a female after I check somebody. Cause I ain't never had nobody defend me, and I'm a grown man. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I expect, man. So see, that's the reason why we ain't get Thug Nation. The reason why we ain't get Thug Nation because we prided ourselves on being unprofessional, being ratchet. If we would have been professional a long time ago, then we would have got Thug Nation. You follow me? So basically, man, now, here's the setup. You understand that, basically, I'm influenced by Thug Nation. Okay, by the time I was 16, I caught my first felony. You know what I'm saying? But they reduced it down to a misdemeanor. I broke in a house and I helped steal guns. So I was already doing stuff that was dangerous. But when I was 16, right here in North Carolina, my first real felony was breaking and entering in a house and stealing guns, real guns, loaded guns. That was my first felony. So that's how I started out as a criminal. So I just hit the ground running. We did other little petty stuff, you know what I'm saying, before that time, but I hit the ground running. I did breaking and entering a house and stealing guns, and I was only 16 years old. I got a gun out of that process. So I got armed out of that process. And then the person I did it with, he hit the house again, and I held the guns for him. So that was 2 felonies right there, where I was accessory the second time, and I held shotguns, big old shotguns, for the person that we did that did the crime. Okay, so I was always doing, it don't get no more dangerous than doing crimes for guns and with guns. You know, so I was, my crimes, what people misunderstand about me, if you listen to my family, my little brother or whatever, I was doing dangerous stuff connected to guns from day one. That's why I was breaking in the house from day one. Okay, the literal first charge I got was breaking and entering vehicle. We did that at West Mecklenburg, right? So I got charged with the charge. I got breaking and entering a vehicle, aiding and abetting. Y'all, everybody know what aiding and abetting is, right? I got charged with that, aiding and abetting, and but it was breaking and entering a vehicle. It was both, I think. I think it was both. Okay, so that was at 16. I got on probation. I had a probation officer. I had to pay that money. I was on them papers. Like we say in North Carolina, I was on them papers. Okay, it's two type of criminals that understand how easy it is to do a crime, or how hard it is to get out of one situation in trouble with one crime. Somebody that go to prison or somebody that go through the system. When you go through the system without going to prison, you get on probation and you got to go to do community service. I done community service here in North Carolina twice. I done been on them papers where I had to go back to school, as far as my probation requirements. So I had a probation officer that I had to talk to every month. Okay, so this show you that I was influenced by thug life, whether people want to trivialize my situation for their own narrative. I was influenced by thug life from doing real crimes, felonies. The last felony I did was right here back in North Carolina. We stole a car right off the car dealership parking lot. We stole a car right off the car dealer parking lot right over there on Freedom Drive. And I was the one driving the car. Once he brought it to safety out the car dealership, I'm the one driving the car because I knew that side of town, and both of the dudes went from that side of town. We was in West Charlotte. So I'm just being transparent. That's the last crime I did. That was a felony. Where it was serious, you gotta have juice to do it. We stole a car off the car dealership, not a car on the side of the street parked parallel. No, we took it from the car dealership. And I'm the one that drove it to safety. So if the police had got on us 8 minutes after we did it, after one of the dudes went and got the car, because what happened was this was an old school criminal. He was way older than us, old enough to be our dads. So I'm walking with this one dude, and we walking around like criminals, and he picked up on it. You know, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and me and him just walking around. I met him at Walmart on Wilkerson, and me and him just walking around, just like, you know how you meet somebody, y'all just walking around like that. So, but we kind of was already in that crime vibe, you know what I'm saying? And this old school dude must have been, man, he had to be one of the best criminals, man, because he knew we would do this. He told us that somebody dropped some keys at the car dealership, and he sat there and watched them and picked up the keys. Crazy stuff, right? So he was sitting at the bus stop watching the car dealership, and the dude dropped the keys, and that dude heard it, bro. That's crazy, right? Okay, so he brought the keys to us and said, yeah, man, we got this car. I got this car, man. The dude dropped the keys that was working at the car dealership. He dropped the keys, and I got the car. I got the keys. So he was like, okay. So it was 3 of us. He went and got it off the car dealership because we didn't even know what car it was. You know, he knew what car it was. And when he brought it to the parking lot directly across the street, I'm the one, he told me, you can drive, because he was smart. If the police come, I'm going to be the one that's charged. I'm going to get the heaviest charge. He was a smart criminal. That's the only reason he did it. Because if the police came, I would have been the one that they charged with the heaviest crime. Everybody else could have been joyriding or whatever else you want to say. Some little petty stuff. I would have got the felony. So I'm just saying, that's the last time I did a crime. That show you what type of person I am. Like I like to tell people, I am not a thug. I'm not a gangster. But I would do crimes if I have to. And that's a better perspective, and that's a better way of carrying yourself. Because there's so many people that want to be thugs and gangsters and stuff. It's just disgusting to me. I'm just disgusted at it. And then all the stuff that's happening, you know, killing people and children and old people. I'm just disgusted at it anyway. So I don't never tell nobody that I'm a thug or a gangster. I'm just a person that would do a crime if I have to. In this context, to protect myself. Okay, that's the way I'll do a crime. Okay, so that gives you an idea, man, that I've actually done felonies and stuff like that. Because if I don't say this, you would think I'm just getting on this video and just saying something about Thug Nation, and I'm influenced by Thug Nation. I ain't never done no crimes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, up in New York, I got weapon charge after weapon charge, where I had to go to court in New York various times for being arrested with a weapon. I had to go through the whole jail system, get booked and all that stuff. One time I didn't, but I done got arrested many times, handful of times for carrying weapons up in New York City. So that's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. That give you a good idea of who I am. Now, these police, keep all of that. You know, sometimes it's hard for people to keep all of the stuff in perspective. Keep that in perspective while I'm talking to you. Don't lose sight of that. So you can see who I am, where I'm coming from as I speak about these situations. So you see where I'm coming from. So you see where it's really at. Okay, my generation never challenged the Americans. They never challenged the Americans, right? And I never had a reason to challenge the Americans. But they played with my life off of bogus information from my brother. Okay, so I was forced, based on who I am, to become a full-bodied soldier. I wasn't gonna lay down and die for these clowns. See, they don't really know my background, so you don't really know what I'm capable of. All you're gonna go by is little hints and bits and things of what you've been told about my sexuality or other things, and that's not gonna even influence me to be a less of a man that I'm presenting to you. Ain't none of that gonna stop me from being who I am. And that's all you need to worry about. All you need to worry about is everything I'm telling you is not gonna stop. Okay? I'm a soldier. So if you're a corny clown, you can talk about my sexuality or whatever, but I'm still willing to do a crime to protect my life. And that's all I'm saying. That's all you need to be concerned about. So when the Americans went against me, they went against the new generation, and they didn't realize that. This was the first time they really fought my generation on a national scale. The people that was raised up on thug life. This is the first time. Show me a thug that went to war with the Americans. They come from my generation. Not the past generation where even some of them old gangsters was humble down and act like a little slave if things go too bad. You know what I'm saying? I want you to think about the fact that my generation never went to war with the Americans. So my point is this. My main point is this. You ain't gonna see my generation bow down to no white folks. You ain't gonna see my generation bow down to no police. Yeah, the time has come because we know it's a conflict in the air, it's a war in the air. So now we gonna evaluate things in its full description. I'm from Generation X. I'm at the top of the millennials generation. Being born in 1981. Listen, bro. I ain't laying down for no white folks. And I ain't laying down for anybody else that won't smoke, including these Mexicans on the East Coast. We ain't bound down. Listen, I live and die like this. I don't care where you come from. I don't care where you come from. That's irrelevant information. Who you are is irrelevant information. It's about real rules and principles on these streets. And I'm already winning with far as the rules and principles, because you ain't got no reason to be playing with me as Mexicans when I ain't grow up in no Mexican neighborhood. That's my philosophy. If I ain't grow up in a Mexican neighborhood, then how do you know me? Now, I can see if I was in Mexican neighborhoods. Then you can say, well, he was over here, he was over there, he did this, he did that, right? You ain't seen me mixing up with no Mexicans. Okay, so that's why I'm extra offended with the Mexicans, because you ain't have no business in my business. You ain't have no business in my business, and that's why we take it extra personal. Black people, I'm black, so I can't help but have politics with black people. I can't help but have politics with black people. I can't help it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm black. Now, when it comes to Mexicans, right? Why you in my business? Because you follow the corny Americans. That's what happened. You follow these corny Americans, and listen, buddy. When you would listen among street people, even if you was in prison, if you were lame, if you do lame stuff, buddy, it don't matter what you are in the streets. We don't care about that. You did something lame, and that's it. We don't care what you talking about. You go to prison, they already know you done caught bodies. They know you done something serious. But you can't come in there and just do anything and think ain't nobody gonna judge it. Ain't nobody gonna look at it a certain way. You got to know how to move after you done something. And that's the best way to tell you. You got to know how to move after you do stuff. You can't just sit back and act like you got this reputation that we don't care nothing about, and that's gonna hold up when you come out here in these streets and we don't know nothing about who you are and what you done. What's gonna hold up is how you handle things presently in these situations. And if you came out here and played with me as Mexicans, man, you already in liability land, buddy. You know that. Okay, so then the reason why you ain't even looking at it that way, because you thought that I'm a chump, I'm somebody you ain't got to answer to. But you knew if you knew I was a certified gangster, you know you already in trouble. You already in trouble. Because you shouldn't have came out here playing with somebody you ain't know nothing about. One of the golden rules in the streets: always do your homework on your enemies. Especially if it's long-term war, you always got to do your homework on your own. Not listening to somebody else, doing your own homework. You didn't do that. So see, that's how I beat the Mexicans already. Let's make it clear. You came out here, you ain't had nothing to do with this stuff. You came out here playing around me and you ain't even know who I was. We don't care nothing about who you are. We willing to die for this position. Well, these Americans play with me and I ain't even done nothing. They ain't got no charges. They ain't got nothing they can take me to jail for. They ain't got no paper trail where they can see me being some sex predator. So then we going to war about that. Does that make sense to you? Well, you willing to die for that because of the position they play and who you know you really are. Okay, so you willing to die in that position. Now, you a lame coming in or playing a lame position, you just going along with the show. You ain't got the same energy I got. You ain't willing to, in other words, you ain't willing to die for this. As Mexicans, no, you not. There ain't no reason for you to be willing to die for it. Okay, so listen, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now to your face. Man, listen, man, listen, bro, I done been to California to Brooklyn. I don't fear no Mexicans. Like some of these people do in the South. That's them. I done moved around, buddy. I don't fear no Mexicans. Okay, that's what you need to know. Okay, that's what you need to know, buddy. We live and die like this, and that you do know, right? Okay, so I ain't no different. You ain't gonna never fold because of no situation. Okay, so then we live and die like this. That's it. You ain't gonna see me fold like a sucker. You waiting for me to fold like a sucker, and it's not gonna happen. All we gonna do is keep fighting until somebody die. And that's it, bro. Like the streets is really how the streets really is. Somebody gonna die. That's all it's gonna be. We ain't gonna never fold. We ain't gonna never stop because I'm justified in my cause, bruh. I'm justified in my cause. When you play with me, I don't care if it's Mexican women, I don't care how beautiful you look, your beauty cannot stop the credibility of my situation. I'm more credible than you. I don't care how much you get high, I don't care what you do. You are not going to be more credible than me as the Mexican community. You had nothing to do with this. And that's what we going to talk about. We ain't going to talk about who you are. We all are killers. So to speak, you know what I mean? So it ain't no need to talk about that. You talk about that with the lames that ain't even on that level. When you come to me, I don't care if you're a killer. We finna talk politics. We finna talk about who's right and wrong. Just like real dudes do among brothers. We ain't finna talk and sit and go who's real. We don't care about that part. Once you get around enough real dudes, we ain't even finna listen. You don't even think like that. We looking at who did what and what was done. That's it. And when we look at it like that, besides who's real and fake, y'all got liabilities as the Mexican community of America. That's point blank period. Ain't nothing you can say about it. Because you thought I was a chump. You thought I was a chump, and you found out the hard way I'm harder than half of these people. I'm colder than half of these people. That's what you found out. Okay, so then that's what it is. You ain't gonna change that. You ain't gonna change me. You not gonna change me. Whether you think I'm real or fake, you ain't finna change me, bro. I hope you understand that. I'm willing to die for this. And you need to hear that before we go any further in in North Carolina. Before we go any further in North Carolina, Mexicans specifically need to hear, I'm willing to die for my position. That's what you need to hear. Because if you ain't coming with nothing, listen, bro, if you coming playing games, if you coming playing around me, listen, bro, I'm going to war every single time. I'm going to war, buddy. Okay, you understand me, buddy? I'm willing to die for this position. You ain't gonna change me. You know what I'm saying? And I learned something about you in the process of the situation. Y'all can be goofy people as Mexicans. I figured that out. Y'all can be goofy. Yes, y'all can be corny, just like these white folks. Y'all ain't peeped that? Y'all ain't peeped that. They ain't just like, no, I ain't being racist, but they ain't just like black folks. They can be corny and goofy, sitting around laughing and think it's funny playing around me. That's what I'm talking about specifically. The look on your face is like you think it's a game. The look on your face is like you think this is some fun little Speedy Gonzalez game, bruh. Ain't nobody scared of you. I'm one of the black people that went out to East LA. I was with the Mexicans in East LA, buddy. Yeah. When half of these Charlotte people, they ain't never been to no East LA in East Los Angeles. They don't know nothing about it. I do. So that's another reason I talk like this. I got credibility with Mexicans in California. So that's what I deal with is West Coast Mexicans. Period. That's it. That's all. I don't deal with no down south, no New York Mexicans, none of that. Not collectively. On an individual basis, like I say, I always like to leave individual bases open, even with black people. I don't deal with anybody collectively, but I leave the door open for good, real people that's black or Mexican on the East Coast and in the South. As an individual, but collectively, no, I don't embrace nobody in my situation because it's been too many games being played. How in the world I'm gonna embrace everybody? Think about that. All these games being played, and how I'm gonna embrace these people? You know what I'm saying? You start taking points off. Like, yo, he shouldn't even be dealing with these people, bruh. If he knew what they was doing, I don't deal with nobody. So that's all I'm saying, bro. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. And I'm not saying this to be tough or cool. This is how I live, man. And sometimes people are so used to hip-hop in the streets, this corny stuff, the culture, you don't even know when somebody's real, bro. You done seen it so much fraudulent stuff, and so much, even the street stuff, that you can become desensitized to it. But let me tell you something, bro. Keep your Mexican women out my face. You heard me? Keep your Mexican women out my face, cause they ain't gonna face me on the battlefield. So then keep them out my face, bro. Keep your Mexican women out my face. It's eyes and ears. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what you heard. We either gonna go to war or we not, cause I'm at the level where I'm gonna get my respect. I'm not waiting to get it. I'm not like, see, the difference between BGs and OGs, an OG gonna come out here, he ain't gonna sit down and wait for you to respect him. He getting his today. I'm getting mine today. Somebody violate me, I'm checking that now. A BG is subject to everybody, the community and everything. I've been treated like a BG. Like I'm subject to your test, and you a nobody that ain't even moved around like I have. You ain't even moved around like me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even moved around like me to be around me, testing me like you have. That's all I'm saying. Brooklyn done gave me respect. I'm not coming down here to deal with no Mexicans playing in my face, bruh. Keep your women out my face. Now you see I'm not playing no games. Now you see it's not a cartoon situation. I said I did felonies. If you ain't wake up off that, that's how we know you fake. Man, as soon as I tell real ones I done felonies, man, from the time I was 16 and all of that, bro. And you ain't never seen me put nobody, this the bottom line, you ain't never seen me put nobody in prison. I ain't never put nobody in jail. That's all you need to know. See, a street nerd gonna talk about, well, what about this and what about that? The bottom line, a real person gonna leave room for flaws, even as a street person. But long as you ain't put nobody in prison, you ain't put nobody in jail. You know, that's what we looking at. You ain't never seen me put nobody in jail and prison. It didn't happen. That's all we need. That's all you need to know. A street nerd want to talk about the ins and outs of everything. A street dude is gonna say, "Oh, he ain't never put nobody in jail." That's all we care about. A street nerd gonna break it down. Oh, well, this and that and that. Man, come on, bro. Listen, bro. Y'all started problems. America, it wouldn't even be right when I tell you about my generation and what we made of in America facing us on the battlefield. It wouldn't even be right if I ain't talk about these Mexicans in my face playing in my face. It wouldn't even be right if I ain't talk about these lames that don't know nothing about me, these secret society people. Because they part of the problem. They part of the challenge. They part of America's challenge to me. Okay, so that's why they get mentioned. America has not faced nobody like me because you have not went to war with Generation X or the millennials, which is and the difference is we ain't laying down and dying like the old generations, no disrespect, but we ain't laying down and taking no beatings from no white man. See, and that's what the vibe is like we supposed to bow down to black people, white people, but you didn't realize you're dealing with a whole different generation. That's what it is. That's what it is. So while you acting like I'm a radical or I'm a terrorist or whatever, man, listen, the truth is, man, you just dealing with a tougher generation of black people. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with somebody that ain't gonna lay down and take what you've been doing as white supremacists, and finally, you see Generation X stand up and fight these racist white people. That's all it is. You see the millennials stand up and fight these white folks. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all you see that's going on, bro. And so you can take it to the extreme. You can understand what generation I am. Like I just told you. You see what I'm saying? I done felonies and things like that. So guess what? When America go to war with me, guess what? I'm going right back to war with you. And I don't care nothing about these Mexicans. I don't care nothing about these ignorant black people. And I don't care nothing about these white folks that think we supposed to bow down to them. That's all it is. You dealing with a different generation. Finally, you see what it is to face my generation on the battlefield. Because most black people gonna say this. Most black people gonna say this. You couldn't have put me in slavery. Talk to my generation. They're gonna say no, because I would have rose up against the people. I would have rose up against them white people. My generation is intolerant of being challenged by white people. Not like the Malcolm X generation, no disrespect. When they went back and forth, we don't go back and forth. We treat it like a street challenge. You follow me? We treat it like violations on the streets. With these white folks, we treat it like violations on the streets. And they ain't never seen it because you ain't never seen it. You ain't never seen somebody that come from my generation or younger that got challenged by the Americans. And my question to you as Americans and as African Americans, as black people, what would you think somebody from my generation or younger, let's just say a little bit younger, what you think somebody that's 19, what you think he gonna do if he get challenged by these Americans like this? He gonna wig out, bruh. He gonna go crazy. He gonna get weapons. He gonna watch his back. He gonna act like it's the streets. If you tried a little 19-year-old dude right now, what you think he gonna do if these Mexicans playing in his face and he black? And he from New York, or he from Charlotte, or he from Memphis, or he from Miami, and he a black dude that's 19 years old. What you think he gonna do? See, you thought I was one of them old generations where I'ma just bow down and take these lashes on my back, and you didn't realize the most important information is that I come from a younger generation. That ain't important information? Yes, it is, because we ain't taking nothing off these white folks. I ain't taking nothing off no black people. That's my generation. My generation don't feel like it's soul brothers and all that stuff. No, we come from the generation where I was a teenager in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 1990s, right? So that give you a person that's quick on their toes realize what type of person I am. Okay, you was a teenager in the 90s, yeah. So I was influenced by the Pacs and the Biggies and all of that. And all the stuff that was going on in the streets. We ain't laying down for no Mexicans, and we ain't laying down for no black people, because we was fighting black people back then. We was influenced to fight our own people back then. Let's keep it real. We was influenced to fight our own people. So you can watch it. I'm telling America like this, bro. If you ain't willing to die for this, you playing with the wrong man, buddy. All these people in the woods, all over here. Listen, they all in the woods. They think we stupid. They all camped out in the woods and watching me all around. Let me tell you something, white folks. If you ain't willing to die for this position, you and your children gonna be in danger, buddy. And I don't send out empty threats. You dealing with Generation X, the millennial generation, where we willing to die in this position, bruh. I see most of you white men as docile men. You're docile, passive men. I would never bow down to a docile, passive white man that don't even want no hair on his face at no point in time. You a docile, passive white man, almost feminine to me. Now imagine me in my generation bowing down to some feminine white man. And I'm just saying what black folks want to say. Oh, you look on the news and see all these clean-faced white men that look like they couldn't even fight a fight if they wanted to. All these passive and feminine-looking men talking about they are leaders. They ain't got no hair on their face. Look how passive and docile. Even white people probably feel this way. Look how docile and passive these folks look. And you think I'm gonna fear that? It's not happening, bro. And I don't care what kind of weapons you got. I look at your manhood, bro. I look at your lack of masculinity. While you question my sexuality, I question your masculinity. You could put all the kids in the world, but you still look like you a halfway girl to me. You look like a stud lesbian. Half of these white men look like a stud white girl. Ain't got no hair on your face, running around smiling all the time. You know what I'm talking about. Now imagine me being afraid of that. Listen, bro. You started a cartoon game. We can already see how corny you are. You started a cartoon game and you thought I was going to fold. And we took it all the way there, buddy. We took it. I took it there, buddy. Like we'll say in my generation, we took it there. We took it all the way. So I'm just letting you know what generation you dealing with, bro. You ain't dealing with no generation that's going to sit back and take it down easy. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to be ever easy playing with me. So you might as well keep them suburban women and these suburban people, bro. Keep them out my lane, bro, because I get more offended. As you would. These people ain't no criminals. Okay, so what's the insinuation? You fighting me? Okay, I'm going to fight you back. I don't care if it's a white woman. I don't care who it is. I'm going to fight you back. So I don't think you should be playing with me, bro. I'm dead serious. That's all I'm saying. You playing with the new generation. You playing with the generation that never challenged America. So that's all we seeing right here is the new generation finally challenging America. That's what you see, buddy. And they don't like it how hard we go. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna listen, bro. I'm not gonna sit down and play with you when I know you playing with me. You follow me? No, buddy. No. I come from a different generation. Man, you know none of these black dudes is taking this off no white folks. You know that. Whether I gotta stand on my own or not, buddy. And see, all you wanted to do is see what it looked like to play with a black man, to play with a young black man these days. You see what it look like now? You see what it look like? Because listen, buddy. Listen, I know I'm doing something that ain't none of these thugs. That's why the gangsters ain't saying nothing. Because they know they ain't never played this position in their life. You went to war with people in the streets, these broke dudes. You killed broke people. Half these killers kill broke people. You kill poor people. The bodies you got under your belt, them people had less than $5,000 in their possession. You killed broke people. I don't give respect to that in 2026. If you killed a whole bunch of broke people, they was no threat. Even after you killed them, you ain't have to worry about nothing. Because you killed people that was broke and wasn't even a threat. That's how I look at it in 2026. I challenge people with power and authority. Most of these black folks have never done that. You ain't never challenged nobody with power and authority. You challenge other broke people and kill other broke people. That's what half of y'all do. I know I'm right. So then you playing yourself, acting like me and you going back and forth, because how I see it, you got to face the people that I face. You got to do what I do. You got to fight enemies that I fight. If black folks come and play themselves, they know they've been beat a million times. Okay, the ones that's challenging me, okay, how you gonna come and play around me and you know I beat these Americans? Because you don't like the idea that I'm above you. As far as rank, you don't like the idea that I'm above your rank. So that's the only reason you coming and challenging me, and you ain't gonna prove it to nobody until you face these white Americans. If you don't face these white Americans, buddy, to grown men, you playing yourself, acting like you on my level. You just come in behind everything that happened and just try to play a little game. That part, yeah, like we don't see that. Trying to play a little game after everything, like I thought I done won. Now trying to come in on the end of that, like you finna show the community that you harder than me. You ain't gonna show them that until you beat these white folks like I did. Okay, so then it is what it is. And like I said, I'm willing to die in my position, so you ain't gonna change my attitude. This is what happens in 2026 when you have a real ruler. The people want to challenge the ruler like it's a video game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you know in yourself, you ain't gonna never be half the man I am as far as warfare and as far as fighting battles. As far as fighting battles, you ain't gonna never be half the man I am, and you know that. Because when these white folks challenge you, you gonna act like the past generations and sit down and kind of be humble towards them. I'm not doing that. I prove to not do that. I prove to not do that. Okay, so then you know within yourself as a man, you playing yourself, acting like you on my level. You know what I'm saying? You definitely playing yourself. Ain't nobody thinking you on my level. Ain't nobody thinking that. Ain't nobody thinking that. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how much food you got. I don't care how much shoes you got. You got to do what I do. It's different lanes. Like Malcolm X. Malcolm X didn't have no money. He ain't have no job. He did certain things that other black men did not do. I'm the same way. I'm doing stuff that other black men did not do. You can have money, you could be an athlete, you could be a baller, you could be all of that. But you have not challenged the white Americans like I have and won. And all these black people playing with me and won. You didn't do that. You ain't gonna do it. Ain't no reason for you to do it. So then, you know, you got to sit back and realize this is a lane you can't play in. This is a lane you playing yourself, acting like me and you comparable. You got to respect my lane for doing something that you have not done. And that's what it is, bro. You could label me a man child. You could say whatever. You could say, but the bottom line is you could say I'm irresponsible. You could say whatever. You could say I'm a punk. You could say whatever. You could say based on my sexuality that you heard, you could say I'm a punk. But the bottom line is I beat America and y'all didn't. I challenged America and y'all didn't, bro. And that balances my masculinity all the way out now, doesn't it? That balances my masculinity all the way out. Because it's one thing to say, okay, my sexual orientation is heterosexual, but you not masculine. And I'm talking about white folks. Most of these white dudes is not masculine men. Come on, we know that, man. They don't even like to have no hair on their face. The only reason I'm doing that is to get clean because I'm on the streets. So it's understandable. You know what I'm saying? I'm staying clean and for other reasons. But, you know, I don't mind a little bit of hair on my face. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind. You see some of these white folks, they don't want no hair on their face. How you go your whole life not wanting no hair on your face, bro? Think about that as a man. How you don't never want no hair on your face? Look at these politicians. They ain't never got no mustache. They ain't never got no beard. But you gonna come out here and act like you more masculine than me, bro. The only reason you feel like that is because of the military. And that really doesn't represent or embody your masculinity. That's just push button. You can just push and look like you masculine. You could just look like you masculine, but the truth is you got all this technology and all these organizations to make you look like a man. We ain't scared to die. That's what you should have realized. This generation like me ain't scared to die, bruh. That's why I'm out here. I'm out here vulnerable to the whole community. You think I'm scared to die? If I was scared to die, I would have hid in one of those little apartments they was trying to give me in New York. I would have stayed in that if I was scared. This time around, I had options. I came back to the streets because I'm ready for this to be over. I'm ready for these lames that played with me and the Americans that joined these lames. I'm ready for this to be over, bruh. I ain't trying to drag this out 2 and 3, 4, 5 more years. Sun Tzu taught in the Art of War, do not have lengthy campaigns. I'm a student of Sun Tzu. I studied Sun Tzu vigorously for years and years. The first time I read the Art of War, I was 17 years old. So, boy, don't you see where I'm at? I've been on this path of war for a long time, bruh. Man, the first time I read the Art of War, I was 17. So think about it. That's going to kind of form your mind about war and strategy and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Ain't no fraudulence, bruh. But listen, even if I was fake, y'all owe me a bag for all the disrespect, bruh. That's what you got to understand. Even if I was fake, you owe me a bag for all the disrespect. That's it, bruh. That's it. You owe me a bag for the disrespect. So I could be the most fraudulent fake dude in the world, but you owe me a bag off of this disrespect, off of the stuff that you've done. I don't have to be real to get this bag. Let me help you understand something. I don't have to be real in order for people to want to kill you for how you treated me. But I just happen to be real. I just happen to stand on my own and take care of my business. And you gotta respect it. Okay, so you can have all these little country little Americans all around me, these little goofy little cartoons all around me. And listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm finna get strapped up with me. I'm finna get my gun license and everything, bro, in the future. And I guarantee one of them to jump. I'm gonna put a hole right in your chest. I'm gonna put a hole right through your chest. Your chest gonna look like a mailbox. Your chest gonna look like a mailbox. I'm dead serious, bro. You playing with the best, buddy. I don't know what you heard. You listened to that weak narrative of my brother who was mad because his wife was attracted to me. That's one of the biggest suckers of all time in American history. It's Tremaine Dominic Houston, mad about a woman that his wife attracted to me. That's one of the biggest suckers of all times. That's what you got fame for, boy. You one of the biggest suckers of all time, mad because your wife was attracted to me and coming out here acting like you was truly molested. When you done bought me a car and you done bought me stuff. Anybody gonna buy a car for somebody that feel like they truly been molested by that person? You gonna buy a car for the same person you feel truly molested you? You gonna buy his son baby clothes? He bought my son baby clothes, like a baby, like the equivalent of a baby shower. When my son was born, he bought him clothes, shoes, and everything. You gonna respect the person that come after this person years later after he done bought me a car and bought my son clothes and everything? It's just a classic ghetto case. Don't you hear it in the situation? He done bought me clothes. He done bought my son clothes and everything. You know, it's a classic ghetto situation. You don't hear it. And then, and then he done bought me a car and everything. You gonna let this person come out here after he done all that? Ain't no credibility in that. You done did too much to show that you had love for this person, that this person didn't bother you mentally. You had no problem with this person. And we ain't gonna let you pick a time when you mad at them for whatever reason and try to dig something up on them, and you was cool with them to enough to where you bought him a car. You bought him a car and you bought him his son clothes. How we gonna let you come out here when it's convenient for you? When you mad and you want to dig up something on him. And then me and my brother got in the car to go shoot somebody. Oh, I'm just letting everybody know what it is. Me and him got in the car with guns to go shoot somebody. And I ain't dry snitching. I'm just letting you know that this is street history, just like you got people on podcasts to talk about stuff. So my brother already know that me and him got in the car to go shoot somebody. And really, that was his beef. It wasn't even my beef like that. I was offended about some things, but it wasn't my beef. The dude didn't have no problem for me. He wasn't looking for me. He was looking for him. He wasn't looking for me at all. He ain't even know me at all. He ain't never talked to me face to face at all. He talked to my brother, and he had problems with my brother, right? So I got in the car. Me and my brother had his guns in the car with me. Me and him gonna go and confront this dude. We was spinning the block and everything. Now, once you and your brother got in the car to spin the block, you telling me he didn't redeem himself? Your brother didn't redeem himself? Whatever you talking about. This is how we know you a lame, Tremaine. Because I redeemed myself to you when me and you got in the car to go shoot somebody. When me and you got in the car to go shoot somebody, that was the redemption. That was my redemption right then, sucker. Ain't nobody gonna say, oh yeah, you and your brother got in the car to shoot somebody, but we gonna listen to what he said after that. No, y'all was brothers, closest brothers could be. When y'all got in the car to go shoot somebody, y'all got in the car to go shoot somebody. Okay, and y'all was serious about that. Goods in the car. It ain't that, oh, you seen somebody out in the streets and then y'all went back and forth. No, you left your house to go shoot somebody, right? Okay, so that's the history. So how y'all gonna let him dig up something later when most people gonna say I redeemed myself from anything that I done to him? Once I got in the car with him to go shoot somebody, you gonna bring up something else that I did later? So you and your brother got in the car to shoot somebody, right? Imagine me bringing up something from the past after that. After you and your brother done got in the car when it was his beef, and y'all was that close, when y'all both got in the car to go shoot somebody, he can't deny it. He could try to trivialize it. That's all he could do. But how you gonna trivialize it? That's all he could do, though, is attempt to trivialize it. But the fact is, we both got in the car to go shoot somebody. All you can do is try to trivialize it and critique it, and it ain't gonna work, buddy. Listen, man, listen. Me and you got in the car to go shoot somebody. That was my redemption for anything that I did to you. That was my redemption right then. You just wasn't you wasn't a real one like us. You to see it like that. You jump in the car with your brother and y'all spin the block looking for somebody, and then you talk about years later what somebody did to you because you was mad because of your wife that was attracted to me. Listen, buddy, you the biggest sucker of all times. Keep in mind, you the catalyst for why all this stuff happened. That's how we see it. You the one that started all this. And we find out it's about a female. Listen, buddy, listen. Mexicans, how can y'all stand behind somebody like that? That dude did all of this for a woman. You ain't gonna ever see me lift a finger for any female that came out here and was attracted to your brother, to my brother, and I do something about it. I ain't doing nothing. You attracted to my brother? Oh, bye-bye. 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 That's the biggest sucker, like, far as African culture, man. You can't even come back from that. Black people will never respect you. You come out here for a female on your brother, and she was attracted to him. He ain't do nothing to her, but she was attracted to him, and you knew that, and that's what you was really mad about. That's what you was paranoid about. But you only seen her show signs of attraction. That's all you seen in the situation. That was only part of the equation. You got paranoid based off of that and assumed I did something to the girl, had sex with the girl or something. But the truth is, you were just paranoid off the fact that she was attracted to me. in front of everybody. The 4th of July 2010, at the 4th of July cookout, your wife was attracted to me, and and from that moment you was mad at me. But me and you got in the car to go shoot somebody. So I hate to tell you, whatever happened to you between me and you, that was the redemption right there, buddy. If me and you got in the car to shoot somebody, you think you're gonna bring up something from the past later? After me and you get in the car to shoot somebody, you think most people is gonna let you bring up something later when you get mad? Because that's what it was. Because your wife was attracted to me. You think people gonna let you bring up something later? Bruh, ain't no way in the world. Ain't nobody gonna let you do that. Ain't nobody gonna let you do that, and that's what it was. You listen, buddy. You was mad because your wife was attracted to me, and I jumped in the car with you before that happened, and that was my redemption. Ain't nobody gonna say, okay, a brother that got in the car with his brother, oh, we still gonna hold him to something he did 10, 20 years ago. No, he was there for his brother. They showed complete brotherhood to the point where they was about to kill somebody. They was in the car with guns, and then if you're a criminal, you gotta say you don't know what was gonna happen. You can't say, oh, well, it really didn't happen, or you can't say nothing, because you can't say what the outcome could have been. You can't. All you gotta look at is the intentions of my heart and your heart. We was in the car to go shoot somebody, right? Come on, buddy, you lose, man. You lose. Now, what we gonna want to know is, we ain't listening to nothing behind that. We know after that happens, we ain't listening to no past or no nothing, because you and your brother show perfect brotherhood towards each other. Right, that's how thugs is gonna think about it. That's how the streets gonna think about it. Y'all show perfect brotherhood towards each other, where y'all both about to ride on somebody. You think I'm gonna let one of them bring up something what the other one did later, ask to destroy him? But they both done got in the car with each other, and the brother done redeemed himself. Either one would have redeemed themselves by being in the car with each other, going to shoot, ready to shoot somebody. So that was the redemption right there, buddy. And that's it. So I redeemed myself, little buddy. And then after that, then you send clothes to my son? Come on, bro. Listen, bro. It's too many holes in your story, little buddy. For people to for people to believe the narrative. It don't matter if it happened. It's all these other things we looking at. See, you thought you so smart, you stupid. You didn't realize that you can have facts, but facts gotta add up with everything else. You can't just have a butt-naked piece of facts, and then we don't consider all these other things to line it up really how it is. When we see that you and your brother got in the car to shoot somebody, you could have the biggest fact in the world, but you and your brother was that close to go shoot somebody. Listen, buddy, I'm sorry, we can't back that, because y'all had perfect brotherhood. Glory to Yahweh. You see the sun shining? See, that's the confirmation right there, buddy. See it above my head? That's the confirmation. I ain't even try to do that. I just sat down randomly somewhere. Listen, buddy, let me tell you something, man. You played yourself, little buddy. You came out here and you know me and you got in the car to go shoot somebody, right? How you gonna come out here to the community like I'm a sex predator? You know what I'm saying? And me and you done got in the car to go shoot somebody. You done gave clothes to my son. You done bought me a car. Would you buy a car for a person you felt victimized you sexually? That's my question to America. Would you buy them a car? Would you be that concerned about their life? That you see what I'm saying? It don't add up, man. It don't add up. What adds up is my narrative, that it was about a female. But before that, you and your brother was good, and whatever happened, he redeemed himself to you, and that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, little buddy. He redeemed himself. If he got in the car ready to shoot people for you because it was your beef, I was mad about a couple little other things, like him calling my grandmother house. The dude called my grandmother house. That's why I got in the car. That was the main basis, right? Okay, because the dude talked to my grandmother. This dude making threats, gun threats, and he thought it was my brother. He thought I was my brother when I got on the phone. But he had just talked to my grandmother. That's what, because it was a house phone. You feel me? So my grandmother gave me the phone. He was like, yeah, somebody on the phone. Then this dude doing all kind of gun threats. I just jumped in the car after that. And then you know that whole situation. How you gonna come out here like that? Because I'm gonna tell you what it was. I'm gonna tell you what it was, buddy. You couldn't live with the fact that your wife was attracted to me. It happens, man. It happens. This kind of stuff happens all the time. But what you should have looked at is I was not liable. I didn't do anything to be liable with your wife. Me and your wife didn't do nothing physically ever in this world. And God Almighty knows that. So you played yourself being paranoid. You was paranoid. Probably sitting back smoking weed thinking somebody had sex with your wife. See, that's some people can't smoke weed, bro. Because you get off in this other world, you know, this otherworldly kind of attitude. Like, you know, thinking about somebody done had sex with your wife and all kind of crazy. You see what I'm saying? Weed ain't for everybody, bro. It's not. It's not for you, in my opinion. You too paranoid as a person. You too paranoid as a person. You can smoke the best. You can smoke 1,000,000 blunts, but I don't think weed is for you. Because you get paranoid and think all kind of stuff and think somebody done had sex. I know weed played a role. You can say whatever you want. I know weed, marijuana played a role in that situation, and you forming your opinion, sitting back smoking weed, thinking somebody had sex with your woman. Ain't nobody had sex with that girl, bruh. You flattering her anyway. You flattering her. You flattering her. I wasn't attracted to her. I ain't think nothing of her. I like a full woman. I like a full-bodied woman. She wasn't woman enough for me to be attracted to her. I'm just keeping it real. She was like a little sister, had that sister vibe. She had that sisterly vibe. Bro, you seen what kind of women I date. Women with their own apartment, women with their own car. She had nothing that symbolized or indicated that she was a woman. What indicated she was a woman to me? I like fully grown women, buddy. She ain't had nothing that attracted me and would impress me she ain't had nothing going on that impressed me, buddy. Okay, I mean, even there, I still wouldn't try to have sex with my family member's wife, man. That's, you know, you put me on this lower level like I'm some dude like that. You see, look at all the disrespect. Look at all the disrespect. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you know, in this real world we live in, man, you know, if you smoke weed and you got paranoid, bro, you got to pay for it, bro. You see, basically, you being intoxicated on weed led to this situation. If y'all don't think weed can get you killed, this proves it right here. Because, no, think about what I'm saying. Because how many times do weed influence how people be thinking around here? Even though it won't give you an overdose, most likely. Look at how it influences how people think, bro. Weed kills people because of their mentality. They start smoking weed thinking they the hardest dude in the world, walking around like they straight gangsters. You know what I'm saying? And you wind up playing yourself, bro. And weed is what influenced a lot of these little dudes like him to be out here. That's what these secret societies doing. Sitting around sucking on blunts, sitting around sucking on spliffs, thinking you hard, bro. And you ain't ready to kill, or you ain't ready to die. That's what I'm saying. And so, see, I can show you how I'm real being sober. I don't need weed to be real. Some of y'all need weed to look like you real. Some of y'all need weed to look like you real, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You need weed and alcohol to look real. I'm sober. I'm sober right now. I just destroyed. I found two. People ain't gonna believe this. This morning, I found 2 pre-rolls in a pack, in an unbroken pack. If I was a weed head, and I know they probably put it there on purpose. It was a perfectly rolled pre-rolls. It wasn't no K2, nothing. It was sativa. That's weed. But they probably planted it there on purpose to try to see if I would smoke. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so, but it didn't work. You know, I took them out the pack and I destroyed them, stepped on them and everything. See, that show you what my manhood is, man. I don't need weed to be a real one. You know, I don't need alcohol to be real. Half of y'all can't sound like me unless you drunk. That's the only way you can sound like me. You know what I'm saying? You drank some liquor, okay, you gonna sound like me after that. I'm like this sober, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's all I'm saying, bro. Y'all listen to Tremaine, and Tremaine ain't telling you me and him got in the car to go shoot somebody. After something like that happens, you ain't finna let that person come back out here and incriminate that person. No. You're gonna say, nah, you and your brother was out here ready to kill somebody. Okay, so he redeemed himself with that level of brotherhood. You wasn't a man to see it at the time. That's brotherhood. He ain't gotta say that, but do you see that? Cause that wasn't his beef. He ain't have to get in the car. That dude had a problem with you. And see, man, that's where people, man, underestimate how hard you can be, bro. You underestimate how hard I can be. You should know from being around me when I was younger. You underestimated how hard I could be, and what probably did that was the fact that you know I'm a Christian, but you didn't realize I can be a Christian soldier, and that's where you've played yourself. Now I'm a Christian soldier out here, buddy. You ain't gonna ever really see me slipping no more. Well, I ain't got something to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? I done been around killers and everything in the present place and time. That's what these white folks need to understand too. I done been around killers in the present day and time. I ain't talking about no stories from the 90s. I can tell you, my first friend, one of my friends from my childhood had an attempted murder charge. Okay? I can give you the 90 stories in the 90s when my friend had an attempted murder charge. Okay? I can tell you all those stories. Okay, but I can tell you up to date right now how I done been around killers that done call bodies. Now, in the present time we live in. Y'all ain't been around no killers. Y'all the type of people that will kill people, but you ain't been around no killers. I know the difference between men with guns that will kill and the men that have killed. Half of y'all have not been around men that have killed. You ain't been around men that have killed. You ain't been around men that have killed. I have. You the type of person that will kill, but you haven't, and you haven't been around people that have killed. And that's where you at, and that's where most Americans at. You got guns, but you ain't never killed nobody. All these rappers ain't never killed nobody. Okay, so then when you start hanging with people that's killers, I mean, you usurped over all these rappers too. Put that in mind. Okay, they got money or whatever, but they ain't never called nobody. Man, half of these rappers ain't called nobody. You name the best of them, and they ain't never called nobodies. But the insinuation is that they will catch a body, but they never have. The insinuation is, I will kill if I have to, but you haven't. That's the Jedi mind trick. That's the Jedi mind trick. You will kill people, but you haven't. So I know that. I'm in the black culture. I know the difference between people that have killed people and people that haven't. But you act like you will kill people, but you haven't done it. And some of y'all haven't never even been around no killers. Okay, so I don't care nothing about an insinuation of killing people or what I might do, and that's what rappers been talking about the whole time. What they might do. Rappers been talking about what they might do since the 80s. And I done been around real killers, people that done put people in the grave. So then rap becomes wrestling. You know how wrestling is staged and they got this big old persona and the music and everything, got a theme song. Rap becomes wrestling to me. Now that I done been around real people that kill real people. I done been around more than one killer. Why don't you tell these folks I done been around more than one killer, bro? That's all I'm saying, man. Stop playing with me like I'm new to this. Stop playing with me like I'm new to life, buddy. Because you taking my Christianity for granted. You acting like that determines whether you can play with me or not, and it don't. You can't play with me. Now you get it. Now you understand. Okay? Okay, so that's where I'm at with mine, little buddy. That's where I'm at with mine. Okay? And that's that. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all, You ain't got no warrants or nothing to put me in jail. That's for professional white America. For professional white America, which includes military, FBI, CIA, and everybody else like that. You ain't got no reason to be here because you ain't got no charges here. You understand? You understand what charges are, don't you? You understand what warrants are, right? You understand that you ain't got no indication of the character and this persona that you made up. You ain't got none of that on record. That's what we talk about. Okay? Like I told you, I had a friend with an attempted murder charge when I was 17. I was around killers, people that would kill people from the time I was 17. Went over to his house, played Uno with his sister, met his mother. I was at this dude's house hanging with him. He had an attempted murder charge. I'm just letting you know. That was 17. That's when I was 17. So if you ever thought at some point I was goofy and wet behind the ears and just playing video games, see, that's how my brother gonna paint it. Until I started telling you, when I was 17, one of my friends had an attempted murder charge. Half of these rappers ain't never had no attempted murder charge. That's all I'm saying, bro. That was at 17. So just check yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? Check yourself, bro. Check yourself. You don't need to check me at all. Check yourself. You follow me? Check yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I done been around felons, I done been around inmates, and when you go to the shelter system in New York, that's like credibility. Because everybody's coming from Rikers. So I done been around the rah-rah, I done been around the raspy, brawny dudes coming from Rikers. I done been around them dudes. Especially back in 2012, I was around a whole bunch of prison inmates that just got out and just came home. That's what we say in the black community, people just coming home, right? I was around 1 million people just coming home because the shelter system take in all these people that come from the Rikers. The prison system in New York, that's Rikers, right? The shelter system in New York is street credibility, because you got to know how to move around all these people. You got to know how to move around all them people. Okay, so I'm done playing MacGyver games. Anybody that think this is MacGyver, look at the geese. So cute. Yeah, man. I'm a human being, bro. I'm a human being out here. We want war about that. Absolutely. You don't come out here playing with me and talking about a child molester, but you ain't got nothing on me. You think you gonna play with me? You think I ain't gonna fight back? We going to war about that. So now you see finally my generation going to war with America. That's all it is. Because you ain't never really seen nobody go to war for my generation. You know what I'm saying? We ain't playing no games. And I'm willing to die for this. You can tell all of America. You can tell anybody in America. We ain't scared of you. I'm tougher than half of these people here. And that's how it is. If you ain't willing to do nothing, you ain't willing to kill nobody, you wasting your time. Because I'm going to continue to do what I do, and you going to sit right there and look stupid like you doing something to me, but you ain't. Okay, so that's it. You know, we ain't dealing with no lame people. We don't care nothing about what they thinking. Like I said, as far as psychological stuff, if you can't show us where I'm messing with children in physically speaking, then you listen, buddy, you're going to get ran over by God, buddy. You're going to get ran over like a Mack truck by God. Listen, buddy, God ain't letting you play with me about what's on my mind. And like I told you earlier, I don't care what's on my mind. I can live with whatever I think. That's what a G gonna tell you. If I had bad thoughts, I ain't gonna die because of it. I ain't gonna feel like death before dishonor about that. No. About thoughts? Nope. That's a clown. I ain't gonna ever feel like I want to die because of some thoughts. You can listen, buddy. I don't know what kind of G's you've been around. I don't know what kind of gangster you've been around. I don't know one of them that's gonna die about something on their mind. Especially when these people been playing with me anyway. We ain't giving up. We ain't giving up based on what somebody thinking on their mind, bro. That's a clown. Don't you see what I'm saying? That's some Pee Wee Herman stuff. These suckers is Pee Wee Herman, bruh. Man, you ain't gonna never see me care about that. Not to the degree that you think I should. You ain't gonna ever see me worry about that like that. I know where my head is at, and I know what I think about, bro. See, even the geese on my side, buddy. See that confirmation? They took off because they knew. Listen, they said that's it right there. That's it. Hey, the geese say that's it. Let's fly off. That's it. He got it right there. That's it. Fly off. I swear he flew off as soon as I said that. He like, that's it, man. You ain't gotta say no more, man. Stop the video. That's it. You won, buddy. That's the ghetto geese. You won, bruh. Hey, man, you ain't gotta say nothing else, man. You won. That's the ghetto geese, ain't he? He said, yeah, that's it. Let me fly off. Let's fly off. Hey, man, listen, bro. As you can see, man, I got a sense of humor through all of this stuff, man. That's what Pac said, man. It's gonna be some stuff in the future that's gonna make it hard to smile, but you gotta keep your sense of humor, man. Listen, I'm gonna keep smiling. I'm gonna keep having a sense of humor, man. And this is what Tupac was talking about, man. This. I'm convinced that all this stuff, this guerrilla warfare, is what Pac was talking about. It's gonna be some stuff that you're gonna see in the future that's hard to make it hard for us to smile, but you gotta keep your sense of humor. There's going to be stuff in the future that you're going to see that's going to make it hard to smile, but you got to keep your sense of humor. You know what I'm saying? You got to. You know what I'm saying? This is what Pac was talking about. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. Like a prophecy. This is what he was talking about, bro. This stuff right here is what he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we just, like I said, though, you got to keep your sense of humor. I'm piggybacking off what Pac said. You know what I'm saying? I'm confirming, you know what I'm saying, co-signing that. You know, but at the end of the day, bro, we got to go to war, too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got to go to war because, you know, I mean, that's what soldiers going to do. You know, America don't realize, okay, you challenge Generation X, you challenge millennials. I'm not like the old generation of people that's going to take lashes on their back, you know what I'm saying, and go on about their business. And have these big old swollen scars of slashes on their back. That's not gonna happen. I'd rather go to war and just go ahead and go to war. See, like that's how the Native Americans were built like that. Where you can't enslave no Native American. If they would have tried to enslave the Native Americans would have killed them in the middle of the night. You would have been killed in the middle of the night trying to enslave Native Americans, because they're gonna wake up and get together and burn down the whole community. They're going to burn down your whole plantation. See, the truth is, man, Native Americans was too warlike, too militant for them to be enslaved. They couldn't enslave. They would have enslaved the Native Americans, but they couldn't. They knew they couldn't do that. Look how they carried themselves. They was warriors at all times. They were warriors at all times. Ain't no way they could have enslaved no Native Americans, man. So that's the same thing. He would have rather died. He would have just died. A Native American, before he is enslaved to another man, he would have rather died, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro. You can't enslave no Native American. You can't enslave no Indian. I say that respectfully. No, an Indian too wild, buddy. And I say that respectfully. He too wild. You can't enslave no Indian and make him and do what you want to do with him and all of that stuff like that. I'm one of them type of people. You can't do what you want to do with me. Like an Indian, you can't. This is gonna be the end. And that's good for me, because I ain't gonna live that way that you want me to live. Why bow down to you and you play with me? You know what I'm saying? And you ain't have all your ducks in a row, and you think we just gonna live and it's gonna be like that? Because that's how the past was. The past just let it go. The past just let you step on them and do anything and everything. And now you got another generation that we gladly take challenges. We gladly take challenges, buddy. I'm challenging you just like I would challenge any people from the streets. We gladly embrace these challenges. And guess what, buddy? When we done with you, listen, when we done with you, you're going to be a shell of what you used to be as Americans. You're going to be a total shell of what you used to be. You shouldn't have played with me. Now, the whole punchline is, now I'm a man of God. Now God is backing me. But see, that's room for you to think you can play with me, and you can't. You can't play with me. That's room for you to think you can play with me, but you can't. You can't, buddy. So that's why we going to war, buddy. It's that simple, man. It's not hard to understand. You play with a man and you trying to make it work. You trying to make it fit, like the OJ glove. You remember everybody's talking about the OJ glove, where they say they tamper with evidence. We don't know if that's true or not, but we still use it for analogies. You know what I'm saying? Illustrations. You know, these people play games. And you threw the OJ glove into the situation. That OJ glove didn't stick, and that's all you're trying to do right now is throw the OJ glove at me because it's not working. It's like, and now you got to eat that narrative, and I'm an innocent person, and you don't want to sit. You don't want to sit in that narrative where you're the one that's liable. So you'll try to play it like old white America, like, well, we just sweep him under the rug. I knew you would think that. I knew you would think you could sweep me under the rug, and God ain't having it, buddy. God ain't having it. See, in this case, even the white Americans, look at the geese. They're getting big too. Furry. They look furry and big. They too cute, man. They just too cute, man. I never get tired of them. They too cute. They too cute, bro. Too cute. I wish I could have one of them and hold them in there. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know I like animals, man. When you look at animals and be like, man, I wish I could rub them and hold them, man. You love animals, man. I wish I could just hold them and rub them. I think that's a turtle right there. I think I seen that as soon as I came in here. Down here. I just came here yesterday. This is my second day being over here. Yeah, I think that's a turtle. That's how you know I'm from the South, man. Like, I enjoy nature. That's why I'm feeling great right now. God know what he doing. Because if I would have stayed in West Charlotte, I wouldn't have seen no water, no stuff like this. I wouldn't be, yeah, that was a turtle. I wouldn't see no good land and all of this, some little lake and, like this. That's awesome, man. But I needed this. You know what I'm saying? While I'm on the street, God knows what he doing, man. That's why you got to back up off of God's people. You got to back up off of God's people, bro. You got to back up off us. You ain't going to get your way this time as Americans. It's just not going to happen. And me being willing to die in my position is all you need to be thinking about, because that's just how it is. I'm willing to die in my position. You not. I know you not, because you ain't got no real truth and facts to make you want to die in this situation. But as the enemies are getting, aware that it's over, people can get frustrated, and that's why we're going to keep weapons, because people frustrated, they mad, you know what I'm saying, they done gave up, you know what I'm saying, and they just mad. The geese done got familiar with me now. Like, he looked at me in a nice way. Yeah. But see, it's just understanding, man, that, you can't come out here and step on people, man, on God's people, and step on them and step on us, and then think nothing ain't gonna happen. It's just like God loves us, like he loved, like these geese love their children. God loves us just like God. They got them little geese with them. That's how God feels about us, man. And see, you lost your humanity, man. God loves us like these mother geese and these mother gooses and these father gooses. God love us like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's how he looking over me, like I'm one of his little chicks, That's what I'm thinking about. That's when I look at that. That's how God is watching over me. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't gonna listen. For people that take this as entertainment, you ain't got too much longer to look at this as entertainment. You ain't got too much longer in the world, in the collective world, or nothing. Because it's becoming one big neighborhood of destruction. As you can see, it's all starting, as the judgment of God is coming, it's starting to connect as one big neighborhood. You can tell all the stuff is connecting together because the judgment is coming together from different nations. So now with the judgment coming to different nations, it's all starting to look like one big neighborhood. That's what it looked like. It's starting to look like one big neighborhood, bro. And I don't trust none of these men, because how they feel is, you can die and we can live on. That's the philosophy of most modern day countries anyway. They gonna think, well, push come to shove, man, you can go ahead and die and we can live on. But that's how they gonna look at it. So you don't even look to them to reason the proper way about your life. You know what I'm saying? You look to God, and God is willing to kill all these people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think they believe that, because they so used to people being killed, especially in this country. They're so used to people being killed that, they think, well, this is just another person. People die every day. That's what they gonna say. Until you realize you played with somebody that's a prophet of God. That's gonna be the end call right there. You got people that's innocent that die. You got little kids that die. But a prophet is not gonna die. Even when kids die, a prophet ain't gonna die. I hate to tell you. It is just what it is, bro. It's how it is. I can show you in the Bible where prophets is not gonna die. But but these kids can go. Look at it. Look at it. He dipped his head in there. He happy. That's too cute. Yeah. See, I just got a natural love for animals. Look at the other one looking at me. They're so cute. But they know I'm not a threat. They got to get used to it. They got to get used to me. Once they see me enough, and once I feed them, that's going to be it. I'm gonna bring some bread down here. Next time I come down here, I'm going to feed them. I'm going to feed them some bread. Once I do that, they're going to be coming up to me with the chicks and everything. That's how they do. Once you feed them, they'll be bringing the whole family. Yeah. But, yeah, man. It's just like, I can't excuse. I mean, just think about, this is what I leave on your mind, man. Think about if it was your child. Think about if it was your child going through what I'm going through. Think about if your child went through this, being ran around. You see how easily you come out of this mentality. If it was your child, you would want these people dead, and that's it. You ain't trying to hear nothing about what's on his mind or what he thinking about as far as what you think you feel, your hunch, your intuition. Who cares about your intuition? The average person that act like they got so much intuition, I can look at your relationships and tell you that your intuition is failing you. Well, how come you got so many broken relationships? You got so why didn't your intuition work with your relationships? All these psychics and telepaths and mind readers, you so good at reading people. Okay, so then why you got 5 bad broken relationships? Why couldn't you read the people in your life? Is my question. Why couldn't you read the most important people to you, for you? And you got 5 bad broken relationships. Stop playing, bro. Stop playing, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's why, people make intuition their gods and their mind, and it's not. God is only God, and this is where you see the truth of that, because their intuition failed. Let's establish this. The intuition of these people failed. Everybody. What they thought they knew about me, what they thought they saw about me and my life and who I was, all of that failed, bruh. Okay, so then that's where your intuition is. Not where you want it to be, not where you think it is. Now when you put it up against me, it failed. And that's that. That's the status. You don't get to come back to where we I'm still right, or I can be right. No, you can't be right. You can't be right. And see, that's where reasonable people would say, he deserves money. He deserves a bag. He deserves to get bread. He deserves it. That's where reasonable people gonna come in and say that, right? And they ain't gonna look at it no other way. The only thing that's gonna make this right is money. Not trying to be cool and be friends and food. Food ain't even gonna work. A hamburger, a turkey hamburger ain't even gonna work. Well, I don't eat beef, so that's why I had to say a turkey hamburger. That ain't even gonna work, bro. Ain't no food gonna work. Ain't nothing gonna work but money. The Bible says money answers all things. You can go look that scripture up, go Google it. Money answers all things, and it answers this situation. You spinning your wheels talking about anything else. Money is the only thing that's gonna make this work. But you don't want me to have it because you're jealous. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you gotta admit. You a jealous person, you jealous community, and you don't really want me to have it. That's really what it is. That's all it is, man. So ain't nobody ignorant to that. You know what I'm saying? You jealous, you hate it, you hateful. You know what I'm saying? You don't really want me to have it. So then the war is now updated to jealous people. It's to see how it keeps changing, and you got to stay on point. You got to know what you're dealing with. Now we dealing with jealous people that don't want to see me get money. Like, that's a samurai sword through butter. That's a hot samurai sword through butter, because we consider y'all player haters at this point. We consider y'all jealous, envious player haters. That's all we see y'all as. When you don't want to see somebody come up after all the stuff you done, after all the stuff, the games you done played, we eliminate people like that without even thinking about it. It's not even something like the easiest way to get killed is to be a jealous, envious person. Nobody don't want that kind of person around. We don't want that in the hood. We don't want to smoke weed with them. We don't want to drink with them. We don't want to deal with no jealous, hating people. Even though I don't smoke weed no more, as you know. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to chill with nobody like that. I don't even want that I don't want to eat with them. I don't want no jealous people around me. That's the worst type of person to have around you. Because it ain't nothing with a jealous person. You can give them everything they ask for, and it's still never enough. A jealous person is never satisfied, because the more you help them, the more it amplifies your goodness. The more you do something for them, the more it amplifies how good you are. So it infuriates them even more when they're jealous, because through your giving, the only thing you can do is give and show love. Through all those things, it amplifies your goodness. And they can't stand it. So you see how it's hopeless for a jealous person? You see how hopeless it is for a jealous person? For a jealous person, man, it's hopeless. Because even if you do good by these people, they're going to sit back and meditate on how good it made you look to be that kind of person. Because they jealous of you. So you give, you do whatever, they're going to sit back and meditate in their mind. Like they got ADHD, like they got ADHD, right? They gonna meditate on something else that they shouldn't even be thinking about, and they're gonna be thinking about look how good this person is, look how he helping me, look how he this, that, and the third. You know, they're gonna be looking at that. They ain't gonna be like, oh, this is a good person. You know what I'm saying? So that show you all in all how it's a hopeless situation, because you can't even help a person like that. You can't even do nothing for them. Even if you do something for them, they're gonna twist it around and be jealous of you, because your goodness is more amplified. That's why. That's the whole problem. They're jealous of your goodness. They're jealous of good things about you. So you can't do nothing for a person like that. That's like a rabid dog, man. That's why. And see, people don't take it as seriously, but people like me take it very seriously, because we know that person is like a rabid dog. It's almost no hope for a jealous person. It ain't no hope for him. You can't do any good for him, and you can't have them around good people. Even if you bring them around good people, they're gonna be jealous. They're gonna be hating. So you can't do that. So how you even interact with this person? How you even do anything with this person? You can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see nobody else have nothing. And that's basically what it is, man. You know, that ain't even good humanity. Good humanity should be, you should be glad for everybody to get a little something, get a little piece of the pot. For somebody to come up and get bread and get money. You know what I'm saying? You should be glad to see everybody come up. You know what I'm saying? If your heart ain't like that, you ain't gonna ever be a leader. You ain't gonna ever be a leader. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to see other people come up. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be something you enjoy seeing. You know what I'm saying? So when we see that, you got a problem with me, you know what I'm saying, getting the justice, and this is justice. This ain't even like success. This is justice. It's nobody's gonna rest until I get justice. No justice, no peace. Tell these secret societies, no justice, no peace. Tell America, no justice, no peace, bro. Because it ain't gonna be no peace until I get justice. It's that simple, bro. It's that simple. It became a matter of justice. The geese just scared a fish off. But that's a protective geese, man. He just scared a big old fish off. Scared him off. Huge fish too. You can see him through the water. He just scared him off. That's a good mama. So yeah, man, you know, you just gotta understand, you know, I can't let people play with my life. I'm the only one that's gonna speak for my life. I'm the only one that's gonna stand up for my life and make people take it seriously. If I would have laid down and just let people do what they do, then where would I be today? You know, that's what you gotta look at, man. So, you know, we ain't tripping off nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? All my logic is real. You know, whatever people talking about, now you see the truth. You know what I'm saying? You got to update yourself. These was all lames around us. Let's keep it 100. These were people that don't reason like street people or people from the block. They don't reason like no kind of hustler, and nobody from the streets would love these people or embrace these people. If it wasn't for money that they handing out and drugs and everything else, nobody ain't gonna embrace them broke. If they was broke, they wouldn't get embraced by nobody like me. They only gonna embrace you to use you, and sometimes real dudes do that. They use people sometimes, you know, especially a lame boy. They gonna use him for his weed, use him for his alcohol, drugs, and his women and everything else. Okay, so you know that a real one gonna do that. That ain't no sense. That ain't no way of finding out real camaraderie that you got amongst the streets and real ones. You know they'll take advantage of you if you allow yourself to be taken advantage of. I mean, that's part of the game. You know, ain't nobody gonna turn it down. You go in the hood and you try to be cool with everybody. Listen, they gonna take full advantage of that. Am I right or wrong? See, there's some stuff you can't make up that you know, man, from the streets, man. And we all got taken advantage of. So how you ain't gonna get taken advantage of? If you ain't from the streets, if you ain't never been taken advantage of by somebody out here in these streets, somebody took advantage of you. That's just how it go. You know what I'm saying? And America having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that they played themselves coming out here. You know what I'm saying? We used to getting played in the hood. We used to getting played among black people that jerk you for this reason or jerk you for that reason. You know, we used to getting played. You know what I'm saying? White people is the one that feeling butthurt and scorned, you know, about getting played. You know, it's just like, you know, I can't help you come to terms with being played, but you ain't finna make up a whole different narrative. You gonna come to terms with the fact that what black people been coming to terms with this whole time. You get played out here, bro. That's how it is. You just got played on a larger scale when you listen to my brother and everything like that, and he played y'all. He utilized y'all against me. That's what the whole purpose was. The whole purpose was for him to utilize y'all against me. And it would have worked if I was weak, you know what I'm saying? But I just weathered all the stuff y'all did. But he just played y'all, you know what I'm saying? And that's the narrative that you don't want to face. You don't want to face the real narrative that you got played. Which means none of the stuff that you told was in the proper definition that you was told. That's what I go by. I don't go by opinions. Because a person esteem you as a sex predator just because how you carry yourself. You know what I'm saying? I don't go by that. I go by definitions. So if you come to me, I ain't going by no hunches and intuition. I'm going by how this person carry themselves. No, excuse me. The definition, what defines that person by their actions. Your actions define you, not your thinking, and not your thinking needs a platform of the material world and the material in the physical world, which is your human body and your free will. Without your free will, your thoughts is nothing. You have to use your free will to make your thoughts anything in the real material physical world. So that's where we keep thoughts at. Thoughts are nothing without physical corresponding action. You have to have corresponding action. So the only thing we judge with that being said is what a person get up and go do. A person can get up and think about hurting somebody. They could just look at somebody and say, man, I just want to smack this person. And you could know this person could say it. This person actually could say it. When you sitting down, you like, man, ain't nothing you can do. Ain't nothing you can do until that person actually does smack that person. You can't say nothing. Even the police gonna say, well, did he say it to the person? Oh, he didn't say it to the person, then, so that wasn't communicating threats. The closest thing you can get in that situation is communicating threats. Oh, but he ain't communicating no threat to the person, so, sir, we can't really do nothing. I mean, we might look out for him. Maybe you should not hang around that person. They gonna talk to you like that, like you a kid. Like you shouldn't hang around that person, or and something like that. Person sitting around thinking about smacking people, but ain't nothing we could do because he ain't communicate that threat. Now, if he communicated that threat to that person, then we can do something about that. But even in some cases, it's your word against their word, man. When they communicating threats, I mean, how you know it's true? These days, even communicating threats, how you gonna really prove that? Unless it's on film or on video, you know what I mean? You can't really prove. Now, if it's on video, you can prove it, or by text. By text, you can definitely prove it. That person is communicating threats. That's how you really can get somebody. But a person just walking up to the police saying this person is communicating threats, we don't know if that's sincere. Even the police don't know. The police don't know if that's real or not, if you're just trying to get that person locked up. My point is that the physical world, reality, the material world, your free will has to be the corresponding action for thoughts to really be incriminated. For thoughts to really be incriminated, you gotta have corresponding action to the thoughts that you have. You can't incriminate somebody and there ain't no thought, and it's just a naked thought. It has to have corresponding action in the world we live in, and that's the only world we gonna want to live in. We ain't gonna want to live in a world where people thinking they playing with us and playing, and every little thought they think we doing something, but you ain't doing nothing in the physical world. You don't never let these little corny clowns pull you into a little lame world like that. You ain't doing nothing to the real world. You ain't doing nothing in the real world, so then that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You don't let nobody play with you like that. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't got no corresponding action and you ain't using your free will to do something in the physical world, the police can't even do nothing. The police can't say, well, your thoughts, we heard your thoughts. The police can't say, well, you had bad thoughts, we're taking you in, buddy. The police could know that you look like you a sex predator. You could lust after children right in their face, and they could just hate your guts, but they can't do nothing. A good cop can't do nothing. He can sit and he can see you lusting after children. He can even hear you talking about children in a sexual way. As long as you show no intention of doing something physically, he can't even say nothing about that. If you say a child got a big butt, what can he do? What charge can he give you if you said a child had a big butt? He can't do nothing. Now, if you say, well, I feel like I'm gonna go over there and touch that child or something like that, then he can it's some little charge he probably can put on you right there. But if with intent to do this or intent to do, you know what I'm saying? But if you just say a child got a big butt, a child got big breasts, what can he do about that? Nothing, bro. That's what I'm trying to show you. That shows you right there, man, what world, the real world, the physical world, the earth world we live in. You know what I'm saying? I don't let people play with my mind like that. If you don't see me doing nothing, and all these people are doing, a lot of these people are doing something, like 33 states of child marriage in America, where they can marry children in 33 states of America, until you see me doing something physically, buddy, listen, you're going to have a war on your hand from an intelligent man. It's that simple. You out here marrying children as Americans. Right here in North Carolina, they can marry children. They got laws in North Carolina to marry children. Now imagine me letting these North Carolinians play in my lane and play in my face, when y'all as a community never said nothing about the marrying children because you was ignorant, you was stupid, you ain't know nothing about it. Okay, now you do, because you listen to the prophet. You ain't even know your state was marrying children. You know what I'm saying? That's pathetic. That's pathetic of you to come out here and start all this hoopla, and then you ain't even know your country was marrying children. You ain't even know your country was marrying children. We listen, bro. Listen, we don't respect that at all, bro. We don't respect that at all. Like. See, in other countries, they do have sex with children, but they don't contradict themselves like they don't. You act like you don't. When you know you do, then you don't play with nobody. So when you go to Brazil and they got the age of consent at 14, Brazil ain't playing with nobody though. That's the thing. And a smart person knows the difference between you and Brazil. Okay, Brazil do have laws that you can have sex with a 14-year-old girl, but they ain't out here incriminating nobody about being a pedophile in their country. And that's the difference. That's the difference. They ain't out here incriminating no one. And that's what I'm saying. Okay, so then that's the difference. You out here marrying children and incriminating other people when you do basically the same thing. Because in the real world we live in, I'm gonna leave you with this. In the real world we live in, you got two types of vaginas, right? As in female vaginas. You got two types of vaginas. You got a woman vagina and you have a child's vagina. There's only two. There's not hybrids. There's not hybrid vaginas. You got two types of vaginas. A woman vagina and a child's vagina. If you're having sex with any type of child vagina, then you cannot win the war talking about pedophilia. If you have sex with any type of child vagina, by laws, you can't tell me about, well, you can't have sex with that child, but you can have sex with this child. That's how you sound. Not that child vagina, but this child vagina is okay over here. At 16 and 14, and like I said, people say, well, parental consent, that don't make it no better, because we're not, see, the Jedi mind trick is to focus on how it's done. But Vader, listen, we're like the Vader of America. You can't Jedi mind trick me. Okay, we don't care about the method of how it's done. We're not looking at the method. We're looking at the fact that you give laws to do it, while other countries don't do it with parental consent or not. You can't do it at all. So a just country is not, oh, well, you know, with parental consent, like that makes it better. It doesn't make it better. It actually involves the parent into the liability of the pedophilia. That's all it do, is involve the parent, which you make it seem like, well, you know, it's the parent's fault or they're liable. But the bottom line is, no matter what the method is, it still can be done, right? That's all we looking at. See, this is how you sidestep that Jedi mind trick. We don't care about the method, whether it's with parental consent or without. We are concerned that you have laws to do it. You couldn't have laws to do it at all. You got laws to do it. That's all we talking about, buddy. Long as you got laws to do it, we don't care about the method of how you do it. We're looking at the fact that you allow people to do it. You see what I'm saying? That you think it's cool to allow people to do this. That's what we looking at. That's how we judge you. Not, oh, whether it's parental consent. That's a Jedi mind trick. We don't care about that. We're looking at the fact that you allow people to do it. We're not looking at the method. We're looking at the fact that you allow people to do it. And that's how we beat you. And you can't come back from that. You can't come back from that, bro. You can't come back. You got North Carolina allowing people to marry children, and that's what we looking at. We ain't looking at how it's done. Are you concerned with how, the method of how it's done? I'm not. I'm looking at the fact that you make it possible for people to do this. You don't see my logic. You make it possible with parental consent or not. We're stuck on the fact that you made it possible to marry children. That's what we're stuck on. Not who's involved and how the process of how it's done, the process. Nah, buddy. We're looking at the fact of the most important part, where you made laws to make it possible. You made laws to make it possible right here in North Carolina. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the fact that you made it possible. Okay? So that's all we saying, man. That's all we saying. Blessings to everybody. Salute to God's people. God bless y'all, man.